What's up, everyone? Happy red, white, and blue. Happy Independence Day. You're on Make Love Great Again with DeAnna Lorraine, and it is 4th of July. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Thanks for joining me. We will be live in just un momento. Have patience. I'll see you in just a second, and I am live from YouTube New Right Network. Talk to you in just 2 minutes. Whoops. Hold on. Well, maybe this isn't really quite working right now with this opener for some reason. Okay. Stand by. There we go. There was something out of size with this. Okay, now it looks more like normal, doesn't it? Something was wrong. Okay, now we'll be back in just a minute. Una momento.
Is at the lowest point in history. People are not connecting and forming real relationships. For the first time in human history, the very concepts of marriage and romance, God, the family, gender, and even our national anthem are under attack. Our American values have been slowly deteriorating and replaced with liberal, progressive values. We're in the middle of not only the romance apocalypse, but a war on our very souls. Speaking the truth is called hate speech. Patriotism is now called racism. Believing in God makes you a bigot. The current state of America is directly intertwined with the current state of our relationships. We are actively enslaving ourselves into a loveless, joyless, genderless future. Men and women of common sense and a moral compass need to wake up to the destructive madness that is being thrust upon us in the name of progressiveness and political correctness, and look ahead to where this ideology and agenda are ultimately taking us. We can make love great again. We can make America great again. But we need to remember who we are. We need to remember the spirit and the values that once made this country and our relationships so great.
This is a struggle for the survival of our nation. And this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy. And we will make America great again.
Yay! Hey guys, what's up? It's DeAnna Lorraine, and this is our red, white, and blue special. For those of you who are just joining me today, welcome. Sorry we're a little bit late. There was some issues with the stream before, so I had to reboot and just get everything back on track. So now that the stream is going well, we are good to go. How's everyone doing this wonderful 4th of July? That's on a Wednesday, which is kind of weird. It kind of feels weird that it's in the middle of the week, but that's okay. We got Spanker in the house, Shooter Down Under, Russ, DJ, all the usuals. Yes, we do. So I'm going to switch off between this room and my Patriot room. It's my Patriot room. I'm wearing a whole red, white, and blue getup. It is a red, white, and blue swimsuit and a little dress that I have surrounding it. So yeah, cool guys. Well, we are going to get right to the point, shall we? Now, there's a lot of anti-American sentiment, all right, that's going on. I mean, as you guys probably know, in the media and from the ground up, from elementary school up now, they are demonizing America, and they're trying to constantly spread and indoctrinate children with this anti-American sentiment. Have you noticed? I mean, it's all over the place, but We know that that also comes from the 45 communist goals to take over America. That's part of it, and I'll show you in just a moment. But, there is absolutely an agenda to brainwash children and indoctrinate them into believing that America is bad, that America is just filled with white guilt, and that we should be ashamed of being Americans. We should be apologizing for being Americans. Obama went on his whole Apologize for America tour, which makes me just so much more happy that we have Trump in the office. Woo! So anyways, that's what we are taught, right? However, doesn't anyone ever think about the kind of atrocities that Americans have actually saved in the world? Because the story that the left tells, and therefore teachers tell, is about Columbus and the Europeans savagely bringing evils to America. But why does it have nothing to say about the evils that the Europeans eliminated? For instance, you know that most Europeans were against child sacrifice, for example. And most of the good Americans, not the bad Americans now, but most of the good Americans are also against child sacrifice. Christians, and there's another thing, that most schools now are teaching this very anti-Christian sentiment, that a story, really a tall tale, that Christians are these horrible, savage people that are very bigoted and racist and homophobic and sexist, and they're part of the bad that is in America. They are part of what's wrong with America, right? Guess what? Christians are against child sacrifice. Most Christians are against things like sex trafficking. But a recent report reveals that the largest sacrifice ever known, child sacrifice, the remains of more than 140 children were recently found in Peru. Recently found in Peru. Their chests were savagely cut open, their hearts were removed, and I know this is gross to hear right now, and their skulls were remaining, but a lot of their skulls were punctured too. Now this was, here, I'm just going to show you in just a second. Where I can find it. Well, of course, technology does not like to cooperate when I need to, so I'll just go back to camera on me. So, of course, the media does not like to cover these things. The media does not like to talk about it, yet it's very rampant in the world right now. Most people don't even realize it's going on, but yes, it's very rampant in the world. And we need to discuss the kinds of evils that Americans have actually stopped, right? Because there's plenty of them. There's plenty of things. Look at this. More than 140 children and 200 baby llamas were found on the country's northern coast. This is evidence of the largest child sacrifice in history, all at one time. The remains of a man and 2 women were also found, okay? Now, this is actually taken place 550 years ago in the pre-Columbian Empire in a sacrificial site formerly known as Rancho Chiquito Las Alamas. I'm not going to try to pronounce that very well. Close to a UNESCO World Heritage Site of Chan Chan. UNESCO. Very interesting. So now this is also kind of reminiscent of, the Queen of England, which most people don't like to think about. But you guys know that this was a story that was buried. The Queen of England actually was found guilty of kidnapping dozens of children and having connections to a child sex trafficking ring. And she was actually a part of this. And now this is a story many royal families and many indigenous people were into sacrifice. Okay, this is actually a huge rampant thing, and it's something that Trump is trying to stop. But my main point is this. People constantly talk about the West and Christians and Europeans as if we're the worst people on the planet. But does it ever occur to them that we actually have stopped a lot of much more savage practices. And we may have put an end to something, to practices and to culture that was more savage than ours. Ours is actually pretty civilized compared to many indigenous people's way of life. This sacrifice kind of thing and the wars that they used to have were much more savage and much more uncivilized and immoral, if you can use that word, than ours. So what's wrong with, now, not saying that what we did was necessarily moral or correct or fair, that we took over their culture and we took over their land, but we did install a more modern, civilized, and many would say kinder and more moral culture than the ones that were existing before Columbus's time, right? So could it be a great thing when a pre-modern society is replaced by a modern one? If Columbus hadn't arrived, one can guess that mass human sacrifice would still be rampant in the new world. And not only that, but a lot of the kinds of savage things that were happening before. So what do you guys think about that? Again, this isn't someone saying that they can barely hear me, so I'm going to ramp my microphone up a little bit more. Is this any better? Can you tell me if this is any better? Oh, is it like I'm speaking into a Goodyear blimp? Wow, that's not good. What about this? I have been having some issues with the microphone lately. Start their land and give them a new God. How would you feel if that happened to you? Now, I'm not saying that what we did was right. I'm not saying what we did was right. However, I'm saying that we did, you know, what we did, a lot of people conquered other countries. Why are we the only ones that get demonized for it? Why are quote unquote white people the only ones that get demonized for it? Wouldn't have happened, it would have become a greater thing. Okay, so is this any better? Tell me if this is any better. Audio is good? Okay, so trolls are lying. Is it better? Okay, good. Hey, newcomers. Well, the point of the matter is, you can disagree with me, you can not disagree with me, but here's a question, no worse. Natives were raping and killing long before the white man ever came over. They were, actually. My audio was fine the other day. Well, I'm going to trust people that have actually been here for a while. It was before it was better. All right, I'm taking this off then. Yes, you're going to see a lot more collaborations. You're going to see a lot more. Blonde in the Belly of the Beast might be the hardest person to get a hold of. She's harder than Jordan Peterson. I've actually corresponded with Jordan Peterson a few times, and he's up for going on my show. But Blonde in the Belly of the Beast, for some reason, has ignored all of my emails. And Steve Molyneux, too, is on my hit list. Yes, you will be seeing a lot more collaborations, and I will be doing a lot more interviews, that's for sure. A very uncomfortable topic for Indigenous people in Australia is the fact that many Indigenous Australians either abandoned or killed children that have problems with. Happy 4th of July! The history of the world has been conquest, mass killing. In truth, our conquest was much more humane than most. You know, and I agree with you. And if you really study history, you will know that it's not. No conquest is a total nice, kind conquest, right? But I would beg to differ that I think that Americans have intervened and helped more than they've hurt. And I think that Americans have been the most fair, the most kind out of any of their invasions, if we can even say it that way, than most other people, most other countries. Not perfect, but hey, I think that we've learned a lot from our mistakes. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, we had slavery. But actually, most countries in the world had slavery. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it just, but most countries in the world did have slavery. And it was actually the Africans that brought slaves over to the West. It was mostly the Africans that were already owning slaves. They already were slave owners, and they came over to the West to profit off of it, right? So people always seem to forget that. Now, in another funny liberal, this is kind of on topic, but in another little funny liberal twist, I don't know if you guys heard about this the other day, but we are about the only ones to fight a war over it, yes. But does the Discovery Doctrine allow us to keep colonies like Puerto Rico? Or should we be bringing other lands into American statehood and stop colonization? Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about Puerto Rico? But that's correct. The Africans didn't bring them over. They sold us to the United States. The sellers and the buyers both had guns, so no one could defend themselves. Yes. Someone just in the chat room said they want to make a porn with me. Let's be a little bit civilized here on 4th of July, please. She's also getting married at the moment. Oh, okay. Because I've been contacting her, wow, since November or December. And, you know, I haven't gotten anything from her. Yes. Get the trolls out of here. Yeah, I know. Oh, Lord, very classy in here. So here's something hilarious. So we talked about, speaking of trafficking and speaking of trying to exterminate these evils from the world, because we don't just have child trafficking in random places of the world or with indigenous cultures. Guess what? We have child trafficking going on right now at this moment in time. Yes, we do. And luckily, Trump has been trying to do his damnedest to exterminate this terrible atrocity from the world. Yes. So what is interesting is this is a huge reason of why ICE is so important. This is why Trump loves ICE so much, and why we need ICE, and why he's emphasizing the need for ICE. It's not just because of illegal immigration. It's to break up trafficking rings and very criminal gangs. That's the other reason why we need ICE and why it's so important. So, that being said, there was, I don't know if you heard about this, and you know, you should, but in Oakland the other day, in Oakland, there was a huge child sex trafficking ring that ICE came in and busted up in a home in Oakland, all right? Now, they busted the ring up, but stupid, brainless, mindless liberals saw ICE from the outside, and they see a bunch of ICE coming in there, you know, ICE people, and they said, oh my God, our illegal immigrant neighbors must be getting detained and jailed because of ICE here. Oh my God. So what do? They create a crowd, they create signs, and they start a protest. And they start protesting outside of this raid, outside of this house. And they're protesting the fact that they're breaking up a child sex trafficking ring. That's how stupid they are. They are protesting, and they don't even know what they're protesting and why. They just see ICE, and they say ICE is a terrorist organization. ICE is inhumane. That's the funniest thing about this all, is ICE is inhumane. ICE is a terrorist organization, and little do they know that what they're doing is actually breaking up the lowest of the low of inhumane, which is child sex trafficking, and they're protesting it outside. It's ridiculous. Anyone heard the story? Let's look at it real quick because it's really that ridiculous. This is how stupid they are, though. They don't want to know what they're protesting. They want to be able to show what they want people to see, not actually what's going on. Central and South America is saturated with human and sex trafficking. Well, it's crazy. Because what they're so hypocritical. This is exactly what we're talking about, how the left demonizes white people and they don't even know why. They're making up reasons to demonize. They're demonizing Americans when Americans, true Christian Americans, or good Americans, I'm not saying all Christians are Americans or all good people are Christians, but all good Americans don't want these kinds of horrible crimes against humanity, and yet the left wants them. Yeah, Central and South America has saturated this problem, but guess what? Also, the UK, Europe, Thailand, huge. Hey everyone who just joined from Periscope and YouTube Live. This is so funny. Well, it's not funny. It's sad that liberals just don't even take a moment to understand what's going on. Check this out, guys. This is just so deranged.
New at noon, federal officials conducting a criminal investigation in Oakland, and people are taken away. Good afternoon, I'm Kenny Choi.
And I'm Michelle Griego. Chopper 5 was overhead as special agents with ICE and Homeland Security executed a federal search warrant. The operation happened just hours ago in West Oakland. Oakland police also on the scene conducting traffic control. KPIX5's Netta Iranpour is live at the scene with more details. Netta?
Well, law enforcement just cleared this area, but there is a growing group of people who are upset about what they've been seeing outside since about 6:30 this morning. Let me step aside so you can see there's a sign saying "We love our neighbors." They also wrote on the ground with chalk saying OPD is a disgrace. They were upset thinking that this was an immigration investigation because Homeland Security was out here, but we just got word from Oakland police that this was in fact a federal criminal search warrant executed in connection with human sex trafficking of juveniles right here at the 700 block of 27th Street. One person seen covered in a blanket taken away by law enforcement here in Oakland. Neighbors say this was the second person taken away, and they're upset. Hudar Cohen says she woke up to the sounds of a crying baby and law enforcement officers outside this home on the 700 block of 27th Street.
I just heard my roommate like racing upstairs and crying and being like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. And I came out and all of our housemates got together and we came outside and we saw a bunch of cop cars, a bunch of other cars that are apparently like ICE cars that, and just so many ICE agents like coming in and entering our neighbor's house.
Cohen said no one was being told what was going on except ICE agents did confirm with KPIX5 that special agents with ICE and Homeland Security.
Why are you so nosy, neighbors? Why do you have to be so nosy? Maybe if you just minded your own business and just trusted our law enforcement, maybe things would just go a lot more smooth. You know what's also crazy is, did you ever think about this? The fact that the deep state, people in our media and in our government are now training our youth and our stupid, low information voters like Democrats. They're now training them to think of ICE as the enemy, as thinking of ICE as a terrorist organization, actually. And their new catchphrase is abolish ICE. Hashtag abolish ICE. That's their new phrase. So did it occur to you that not only, why are they trying to abolish ICE so badly, and why are they trying to villainize ICE so much? Is it perhaps because ICE, they know the plan that is about to unfold, or that's already in the works, that Trump is working extremely hard behind the scenes to eradicate and break up these very dangerous, evil human sex trafficking rings? He is really hard at work to break up the deep state, and their crimes against humanity are all about to be brought to light. So if they train people to hate ICE and think of ICE as a terrorist organization, then there's going to be more of these kinds of protests, and people are going to take to the streets whenever they see an ICE agent. And without even thinking, they're going to be thinking, oh my God, ICE is so terrible, it's inhumane, they're about to break up a family. And instead, they're about to break up a child sex trafficking ring. Did it ever occur to you? Yeah, I bet their crimes are so bad, they're all about to be brought to light, and that's the reason why they're pushing extra hard to characterize ICE as the enemy. Gotta always look at the double meaning, folks. Whenever the left tries to characterize someone or something or an organization as terrible, as the enemy, you gotta think that they're projecting. It's always, always projection with the left. They're master projectors. Master projectors. Right? Train dummy minds. We should send these illegals to the Dems' houses so they can support them if they want them in this country. Yeah. It is a big mic. I'm all for the door-to-door deportations, any traffic stops, any interaction with police. You have to prove a citizen. I agree. Well, we just have to really look at them because they're pretty much all, you know, crazy. Okay, so the next story, this is actually really funny. I'm going to pull it up real quick. You can't make these things up. You cannot make these things up. So, this is crazy. So during the children separated from their families, you know, don't separate children from their families and, you know, keep families together. That whole march that was going on over the weekend, you guys are aware of that. So during that march, the creator of the play, the musical Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda, protested in Washington, D.C. last Saturday. And at one point, what did he sing? He sang a lullaby for the children separated from their parents. This is gotten to a new low of derangement. So let's see this. This is so ridiculous. It just makes me laugh because it's so deranged at this point, you know? So Miranda was among several high-profile speakers at the Family Belongs Together march in Washington's Lafayette Square. And look at his little lullaby that he sang. We're here because there's parents right now who can't sing lullabies to their kids, Miranda said. And well, I'm just going to sing a lullaby that I wrote. And this is for parents. We're not going to stop until they can sing them to their kids again. This is so stupid. Woo! They're so mindless.
I love you too. We're here because there's parents right now who can't sing lullabies to their kids. And, well, I'm just going to sing a lullaby that I wrote. And this is for those parents. And we're not going to stop until they can sing them to their kids again.
A freaking lullaby for the kids separated from their parents. This is so dramatic.
Dear Theodosia, what to say to you? You have my eyes. You have your mother's name. When you came into the world, you cried, and it broke my heart. I'm dedicating every day to you. Domestic life was never quite my style. When you smile, you knock me out, I fall apart.
Oh my gosh.
Thought I was so
The left is not disturbed enough to sing lullabies for the children of the 18,000 people every year who are killed by other people in the U.S. Yes, 18,000 people every year are killed by other people in the USA. Where's the lullaby for them?
We'll give the world to you and you'll blow us all away. Someday.
Okay, this is so stupid. I can't even watch it.
Yeah, you'll blow us all away.
Okay, thanks for your melodramatics. Thanks for your lullaby. But where is the left's lullaby for the, I don't know, 700,000 children that get killed with abortions every year against their will, against their consent in the USA, who get absolutely killed? Where's the lullabies for those children? I would like to see them. Or what about who gets lullabies? I don't know, the 600,000 children that go missing every single year and that get sold to child sex trafficking rings. I don't see any lullabies for them. Yeah? You know who else doesn't get lullabies? The children that have been sold on Backpage.com. The children, yeah, who Trump has been trying to crack down on. And by the way, the raids on child sex trafficking rings have gone through the roof since Trump has taken office. And you should follow these statistics. They're amazing because he's really trying hard to crack down on this. Oh, but the left wants to keep them around because poor sex workers can't seem to find enough work if we take down Backpage. Backpage, which 78% of the trafficking crimes are committed on Backpage.com or via Backpage.com. When Trump took Backpage.com down, the liberals screamed and cried and said, "No, what will the sex workers do?" Oh, poor sex workers. And who else doesn't get lullabies? Members of our military's kids don't get lullabies, even though their parents are defending freedom instead of breaking our laws. They don't get lullabies. The left doesn't hate suffering of the victimization of the innocent. Far from it. The left hates the right. That's why separating children from their parents became a sob story only when Trump took office, even though Obama actually separated children from their parents, and it was Obama that put those kids in cages. Those were the pictures from Obama's era. It's disturbing because the left hates the right, and the right hates evil. So we go in a circular motion, right? The right is against evil and tries to exterminate evil. The left personifies evil, glorifies evil and hates and wants to exterminate the right. Is it any wonder why our world is in such disarray and why people are walking away? I wrote my own little lullaby for the left who could use some soothing recently. You want to hear my lullaby? Hush, little lefty, don't say a word, 'cause your fake outrage is absurd. And if you don't stop emoting, Republicans will all be voting, because they all will remember your hysteria come November. That's my lullaby for the left. You think it will catch on? I think we should all promote this lullaby. Yeah, if you think abortion is not murder, I'm just reading in the chat room. Thanks, guys. I will post this lullaby for those who want to spread it around. And lastly, Feminist Bookstore is closing. Because why? A live experiment of communism. That's why. Yes, I'm going to show you the article in just a moment. But a Portland feminist bookstore, the bookstore was called In Other Words, will close permanently on Saturday after 25 years of trying to overthrow capitalism, the patriarchy, and the general business as usual status quo. This was a crazy store. It's a crazy experiment, but it just shows how capitalism is correct and socialism and communism does not work. So this was a store that was founded in 1993, and the bookstore aimed to fight the so-called culture of oppression by only employing volunteers. They never paid the workers and selling books way below market rate. So let's just take a look at this, because this is just so funny, and I'm so happy that this feminist bookstore closed down. And we'll see, of course, who they blame. And this should also be a heads up that living proof that feminism or feminist-run stores do not work. The feminist bookstore, in other words, will close permanently on Saturday after 25 years of trying to overthrow capitalism, the patriarchy, and the general business as usual status quo. Okay, so the reason why it closed was the rent has gradually gone up, but the closing was not precipitated by a rent spike. The main issues was the hassle of managing a staff that never got paid nor received any benefits. Oh my God, you mean working for free, not receive any benefits? You mean that that's not very motivating for people to show up to work? Oh my God, I never knew that. Many of those who volunteered to work for free were already in highly precarious economic situations. They didn't always have control over their work schedules at other jobs, and they often experienced crises in housing or other aspects of their lives. Oh wow, I had no idea that feminist men and women who promote socialism and overturning patriarchy had mental problems or financial problems or life problems of any kind. I didn't know that. That's news to me. Over the years, the difficulties of running a bookstore on this model compounded. Yeah, you think? Especially in the wake of the store's contentious partnership with the sketch comedy TV show Portlandia, which you'll see in a moment. For 6 years, Portlandia used the store as a set, but the relationship soured after the show was deemed not progressive enough by bookstore staff. F Portlandia, trans misogyny, racism, gentrification, queer antagonism, devaluation of feminist discourse, read signs that were posted on the store's front door, according to the Willamette Week. Wow, you mean that isn't something that could possibly turn customers off? I didn't know that. You know, the funny thing is those fighting the culture of oppression are more oppressive than any employer I've ever had. This is crazy. You know, the real people who are not indoctrinated have a variety of reasons why things fail. You know, I've come in a little hungover and disheveled at a job one time, and guess what? I got fired. I took on another job that was way over my skill set in another job, but I also got fired. If you have only one reason why you failed at things, whether it's racism or sexism or all white-sized people, then you, my friend, are what's called a useful idiot. You have a mental illness and you are a menace to society, and you should not be probably running a store. Of course, all these people that got fired and the store closing, what did they blame it on? They blamed it on none other than the patriarchy. They said, oh, we failed, this failed, and it's proof that the patriarchy is still alive and well. They didn't perhaps think that maybe their experiment called socialism is living proof that socialism fails. And when you try to employ people by not paying them and saying that you're not going to be paid, but work as hard as you can, it's kind of common sense that people aren't going to be very motivated to show up for work. It's kind of common sense that these people are probably not going to be putting in much effort at all, since everyone's paid the same, which is zero, no matter what kind of effort they put in. Hello? Can we learn from past mistakes? Can we learn that socialism does not work? Have we learned that communism does not work? Many men don't need female attention, but simps do. Hey, John L., sounds like you're a simp. How about we kick you out of the room? Because we don't like simps in here, and John L. sounds like a simp. And I'm going to quickly go over this quick Portlandia sketch, and then we've got to go. We're going to wrap this up a little shorter than usual, and I apologize, but they've got an AMA right after me, and I've got to cut the stream afterwards. So check this skit out real quick. I'll leave you with this. It's actually pretty hilarious. This is so funny. This is so reminiscent of our culture today, and it's so sad. This is what the bookstore probably was, and they were doing a skit on it. If anyone's seen the show Portlandia, this is where it's from.
Ew, it's going to be a really nice Christmas.
Stockings out.
I know. Thank you for making one for me.
Well, I've actually used those as shoes.
Okay.
My son's just coming by. Did I tell you that?
Robert?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is really good, by the way.
What is it?
It's a sort of unsweetened maple syrup. There he is. Bob.
Hi.
Come and say hi. Why are you being so rude?
Happy holidays. It's good to see you.
I didn't know you had a child, Robert.
Yeah, I had a baby 3 months ago.
Candace, you didn't say
I
anything.
did.
You didn't? Look, I'm trying to go shopping. I gotta get something for Valerie. Can you just please watch the baby for a couple
We're
minutes?
watching it right now.
Yeah. You know you're... By watching, I don't mean just physically watching it, like I'm gonna leave.
Always new information with you. Always some new spin on it.
Why don't you get something here in our
Why don't you
store
buy-
for Valerie?
There's nothing here for Valerie.
You want this vagina pillow?
I don't want that vagina pillow. We have so many. We have 13 vagina pillows. My entire bed looks like a bunch of women exploded on it.
That's one room. So there's other rooms in the house that you could...
You just give each other vagina pillows every Christmas?
I don't need a vagina pillow.
No one does.
And especially for the little one.
The
White one.
little one does not need a vagina pillow. He doesn't need one.
We don't want to know the gender of the baby. We don't want to know the sex, and you know that.
I don't know your gender. I don't know Candace's. I don't know mine.
You don't know my gender?
I don't.
Do I look like a woman?
I don't know what a woman looks like.
Do you?
I just feel like I'm good at recognizing a woman when I see one.
What are you? You're a detective? A gender detective?
No, I just...
Lifting up skirts and pulling down pants and just getting in there with your magnifying glass?
I've never done that.
I didn't even consider your gender.
I know, you still
But
don't.
I've accepted it now. I accept you're a man. I accept
Thank you.
you have a penis. That doesn't mean it's going to stay that way.
Excuse me?
Is there a problem? Because we can discuss our whole family history right now if you want, Bob.
I don't think that would be appropriate.
That's your father talking. That is your disgusting father.
I'm sorry. I didn't...
I had to laugh because this is so reminiscent of today's culture. It's so sad. The lunacy that they have taken these to, this gender, political correctness has just reached another level. It is hilarious, actually. It's called Portlandia Vagina Pillows. You can look it up. It's a great skit to watch. Looks like John L. is actually a simp in here, and he's calling people names in here. So we don't want any simps in here, unfortunately. We don't like simps, but John L. appears to be a simp. So let's move on to another channel. Yeah, exactly. All we need to do is look up Venezuela and North Korea. Well, guys, I hope you have a fantastic 4th of July. I love you very much. Thank you so much for being here today, as usual. And I wanted to wish America a happy Independence Day. I think we all can be very grateful that America is our country. And for those of you who do not live here, come visit America, come be in America. We're very happy that President Trump is our POTUS. And I wish you guys all a very happy 4th of July. Blessings to you. Apologize that this is a little bit short, but I will say real quick that I pray for all of you. You are in my prayers. I don't think we'll have time to go over all of the prayers because the network is nudging me right now that we need to move on to the next one. But we know that good conquers evil, that love conquers hate, and that together and with God's help and grace, we're able to make our country and our world great again. Amen. Happy 4th of July. I love you. Thank you, Donald Trump, for fighting for real Americans. And I will see you bright and early on Friday. Love you guys. See you Friday. Bye. Yes, do. Q, plan to save the world. Check out the video. Amazing video. Bye, guys.